So today we are going to study about the structure of flower. So let us draw the picture of a flower. Let it be any flower, but a typical flower structure or the diagram is like this, as we can see here. There are four parts basically for a flower. The outermost part is called a sepals. These are the sepals. When the flower is in the budding stage, before it blossoms, it opens. The sepals, the green structure that you can find in the bottom of the flower, it protects the internal soft parts. So it is the sepal. The number of sepals may be varying in different flowers. There are different kinds of flowering plants. Almost 2,75,000 of kinds of flowers have been identified so far. That when kinds of plants are there, they will give flowers. Flowering plants and non-flowering plants. There are two types of plants in the plant kingdom. Okay. So the next part is internal part is called the colored part. Simply any one picture I have drawn, and this is the petals, the colorful part, the attractive part, the part that you like to see in a flower. That is the petals. Okay, petals. And let us write it. This is sepal. This is petals. And then the inside of the flower, you will find the reproductive part of the flower. The flower as a whole is not helping, but the basic part, the main part in a flower, very oftenly both the sex organs are found. So the male reproductive parts found in a flower is called androecium. We call it androecium. Androecium consists of two parts. You can find a filament here, and here this is the stamen. It is on the stamen that the pollen grains are found. What are pollen grains? The reproductive cells that should fall into the female reproductive part. Then the fusion can take place. Well, before that, let me explain. So the number of androecium varies in different plants. This is a cross section. So there may be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There may be plenty, hundreds. Like that, the number varies in the flowers. Okay. So the central part you can find the female reproductive part consists of mainly three parts. So the female reproductive part, we call it gynoecium. The female reproductive part is called a gynoecium. We call it carpels. Carpel is the common word that is used for both male and female reproductive part, carpels. So gynoecium consists of three parts. This part is the stigma. And this filament is called a style. This is the style, the filament, elongated filament, and this is stigma onto which the pollen grain falls. And this round onion shaped part is called a ovary, and the size and the shape of the ovary varies. What is the specialty of the ovary? It is inside the ovaries that the ovules are found. Ovules are the future seeds. They fertilize. Okay. So from every ovule a structure develops. And this is a section. And as I told you, the structure varies. When the pollen grains fall onto this stigma from this stamens contain pollen grains. When it falls, it grows to down. The transfer of the pollen grains from the stamen to the stigma is called pollination. So what is pollination? The transfer of the pollen grains from the stamens to the stigma. And there are two types of pollination. It can take place within the flower itself or between two flowers of the same species. And if the transfer of pollen grains take place within the same flower, that means from the stamens to the stigma within the same flower, if it is taking place, it is called a self-pollination. Self-pollination. And if the pollination takes place between two different flowers of the same species, that means from one flower the pollen grains will be carried away by the insects or through other agents, through other means, and if it is fallen on the stigma of another flower of the same kind, same species, then this is called a cross-pollination. Cross-pollination. Okay, so this is all about the basic structure of the flower. I will show you the example once again, the Structure of Flower.